and I am on the market of selling my property that I own.
Okay.
Can you guys hear that?
The property?
Yes.
Pretty clear?
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Awesome.
Cool.
So let's just start off. Like, what are some of the questions that like we have like right off the bat? What assumptions could you make just based on this guy talking in just 30 seconds? Like, he's basically just introduced himself, says I have a property to sell.
Thought he said he had multiple properties. No.
Well, I don't know if he said multiple properties. Or did he just one? He said he had a property to
Oh,
sell.
okay. Sorry. Okay.
But more importantly than exactly what he's saying, like what can you take and assess from the fact of just hearing his voice, hearing his tone, hearing what he has to say? Like, we have to start making assumptions very early on.
He sounds young.
Yeah, that's my first assumption, right? What assumption do you make when someone's young?
They couldn't possibly have that much equity.
I mean, that's my assumption. It's not always correct, but I can tell you that it's probably reasonably correct, right? Did you get that when you were talking to them, like when they're young like that? Because most of the people we deal with on average are about 45 plus years old usually, because they have to own the property long enough to have equity, right? Now, none of this could be true. We make some assumptions because assumptions help us kind of ask the right questions. Now, I wouldn't make that assumption. I would follow that assumption up with a clarifying question, like how long have you owned the property? But it would be based around the fact that I don't feel like they've owned it that long. All right, Rashad, I'm going to need your help because, one second, I keep losing it, because your phone goes out. And yeah, you're probably going to have to be the audio director. Hey, why don't you jump over here too? That way you're not going to hear any feedback, because since you're on the hot seat, you can jump in.
Paper.
I had to grab a pen and paper.
So also, like,
All right. So tell me a little bit about the property.
now you're
and,
getting pumped.
Your relationship with it.
Well, my relationship I'm moving out of state because I have a different job for the government.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a corner lot, Parkville, Maryland, Baltimore City, 21234. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house with an attached garage, driveway, has its patio, and it's like a Cape Cod, might as well say.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Is there a basement?
Yes, there is a basement.
Okay. Is that basement finishable?
Halfway.
Halfway.
It's halfway done.
So it's half finished, and the other half is not.
Correct.
Okay.
It has central air, new roof, all new windows.
It sounds like you put some work into this thing.
A little bit. A little bit.
How long have you had it?
I've had it since 2000, like the beginning of 2011, the end of 2010.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And is the mortgage paid off? Or is still mortgage?
There's still mortgage, but like there's no late payments, nothing like that.
Good. How much is left on the mortgage?
113.
Okay. 113. All right. And how much you looking to sell the property for?
Like 175, 180.
all right, pause it. When you asked how much the mortgage was and how much you were looking to sell it for,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why it started to sound a little shady. You're like, yeah, how much you go for it? Like he had like a little bit of a like, I don't know. And sometimes this comes from internally. It was almost like, yeah, about how much you owe. Like, it almost seemed like you were, you know what I'm saying? Just a little bit, right? I mean, these are the small details that'll really make a big difference. It's when we ask some of the hard questions, or what we call some of the sensitive questions, we got to make sure we ask them really naturally. Oh, okay. So about how much do you owe on the property? All right. Like, it's just normal. Like, you're asking, oh, okay, what's the weather like tomorrow?
Yeah.
Right. And you kind of went from like super enthusiastic, like, oh, okay, how long did you own it and all that? And then you're like, yeah, how much you owe? Just a small change, by the way, like not a big deal, but a small change. But sometimes a small change can start to make people feel weird and, make them feel weird around the conversation. This guy, you can tell, like, okay, right off the bat, let's do what is our assessment, right? We all know about the DISC and how we assess people. what would you assess this guy at in the DISC profile, making just a quick judgment? Because we have to make them often this fast. Now, remember, we don't have to be right, but remember, we have the D, we have the I, we have the S, and we have the C. And the D is the dominant, take charge. The I is the social butterfly. The S is the caring, loving person. And then the C is the very analytical person like Samira. It's like, did he say multiple homes? Right, so Samira's like a C, right? Because she's like, I need these details. If he's multiple rooms, I need to know. Because I'm a C too, by the way. Details sometimes get in my way, and I have to learn to get over that because the details stop me from taking action. Because that's just what I am. It's the way I am, and I can't help that. Well, who we are is who we are. With our strengths and weaknesses to all of these personality traits. But our job right now as a salesperson is to get out of our own head and start to get into theirs, right? And start to get into what we're really thinking. What are they thinking? And, how can we help them? So first would be, what personality profile at this point, based on a little bit you've heard, if you had to take a guess, where would you go? What do you think?
I.
Okay. Got an I. What else? Nikki, what do you think?
I mean, he seems a little analytical just because he kind of knows exactly what he owes and exactly what he thinks he wants to get. It's not like, he's like, oh, a lot of people you talk to and you ask what their payoff is, they kind of know, but they kind of don't. And then they're clueless about the value. So the fact that he, kind of threw those numbers out right there is a little more information than most people would have right out of the gate.
Let me ask you, if someone was to say, I don't know, I'm not sure, and they were just flaky about everything, what would you rate them to be? Who does that fit in?
Like the social butterfly one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like kind of like, yeah, social
Actually,
butterfly.
more likely is going to be the S. The S's
Okay.
are caring, they're into their emotions. They're worried about saving the dolphins and what other people think. They're usually not big on their numbers, right? They're caring, beautiful people, but they then tend not. My mom, like they don't run around just knowing what their numbers are usually, unless there's like a reason, like maybe they had an event in their life and they had to get good at it. But naturally, they don't just learn it unless there's like a life event that makes them learn it. With that being said, eyes also tend to be that way a little bit too. Right. But the reason that I think he could be an I, if I had to make a guess, is like he is very smoothly talking to him right now. He's comfortable asking questions. Eyes tend to never be secretive. They tend to just like, you asked a question about the mortgage. He's like, oh, yeah, about, right. I owe this much. No problem. I want to get this much. He's just telling you, right?
Yeah.
The eyes tend to like give you information really easy. That's why when you talk with an I, it's going to be the easiest phone call you've ever had. Now, what we learned and what Rashad's learned, right, is sometimes eyes will agree to things and then not keep their promise. Like this particular guy did actually, by the way.
Yeah,
He was having an appointment and he kind of lied to us because he ended up like lying and selling it to someone else.
Yeah, we had, after this phone call, I called him back an hour later and we confirmed the time that day that I was supposed to go over there, and I got in the car and I was probably about 30 minutes into the car on the way there, and then he called me and said that he had an emergency with his son and that we try to reschedule for Friday. This was Tuesday, by the way. So then I was like, all right, cool, that's fine, no problem. Didn't sense anything wrong at all. And then Wednesday, I called him. He ghosted me. Thursday, I called, ghosted me. Friday, I called him again. He ghosted me. And then at the same time, I had been dealing with this wholesaler for Ferndale, the contract we picked up on Friday. And as I was, as we was working through the Ferndale contract, he said, yeah, I got another property. And I was like, what is it? He was like, some Glencoe Ave. And I was like, hold on, that sounds familiar. So now I go back and I look in Podio and look at my records and then realize that the address that he gave me was the same address for the private seller I was talking to on Tuesday. So I figured that that's why he had ghosted me, is because a wholesaler came back in, or he might have been talking to him at the same time. I don't know. Or maybe
let's leave the rest of the story for the end because it's good. We got something you need to wait to hear what the outcome was. But I think mainly for that. But I also think that Nikki's point was pretty solid too, that they could be, social butterfly, but also who else was saying that they were analytical? Whoever said they were analytical, I agree that they could be analytical too, because he does know some numbers. But I's tend to give information easily. They tend not to fight you on stuff. Then D's are the ones that want to like have a fist fight with you. Like, why do you need to know that? Like, you don't need to know my mortgage. Just make me an offer. That's a D when people are aggressive like that. Like those types of people. I feel like Pete, you run into some of those people. He can't talk easily, but Pete runs in some of the aggressive people who tend to be like D's, and they kind of give you a lot of crap, and they're hardcore. Like they're kind of gangsters on the phone.
Defensive. Sounds defensive folks. D's
Yeah, they're defensive. D's are just like, it actually stands for dominant. So yeah, they can be defensive. They can be aggressive. They're just like, I don't know. They're harder to talk to on the phone because they control the conversation. They'll just cut you off, whatever. They're not very good communicators that way. They're kind of like bull in a china shop. Good.
Let me get the address one more time.
2522 Glencoe Road is GLENCOE.
Mm-hmm. Glencoe Road. And what zip code is that in?
21234.
1234. Is that Baltimore City?
It's like right on the line almost. They counted as Parkville, Maryland. Like as far as all the mail, they counted as Parkville, Maryland.
Paul's?
Yeah.
Okay, he just laughed at a joke that wasn't funny. That's actually the first sign of a high I, right? When they're laughing at things and aren't funny. High I's are awesome because like you'll tell jokes and they laugh at them. They're like, I mean, when we Slippery Steve, our first I, he got on the phone. He's like, hey, what's up, Mike? He's like, hey, man, this is what he looked like on the phone. I'm on FaceTime. He's like, oh my God, this is so cool. He's in the phone. I'm thinking, okay, he's a high I for sure. But with all that like awesomeness and fun to be around, they're very inconsistent. Yeah, they don't always like, they're not liars. I don't like to call them liars because I don't think they lie intentionally. I think they just say things and they overcommit. They're overcommitters. Like they will overcommit to things because they don't like to say no to people because they like to socially be liked. So a lot of this is not based on being a liar or just being a bad person. It's based on, I want people to like me. And, so they just kind of go with the flow. And then realize after the fact, what did I agree to? I can't really do that, right? Like the guy told us he'd sell it 125, and I was like, call and ask him if we're out there with a contract, 8:30 on Saturday, he's going to sell it for 125. We get there, and he's like, oh, great, man, glad you brought the contract. And Rashad's like, okay, we're going to sign it. He's like, oh, I got all these other people coming. And then Rashad dug in and come to find out, he promised a bunch of other people for that because he didn't know how to say no. They're really bad at saying no.
We ended up paying more.
The fact that he laughed out at your joke, that I don't even feel like it was a joke. It wasn't even really like a joke, and he laughed. That's another sign that's leading towards high I.
It was a question.
So go ahead. Yeah.
All right.
It's a little confusing.
I thought it sounded familiar. I was like, can't remember. Is this a detached home or is it like a row home?
Detached.
Detached, okay. All right. Sound pretty excited for this job, man. You ready?
I'm ready.
How long you been living in Baltimore?
All my life.
Pause it.
Oh, yeah, you're ready.
So a couple little things. I love what Rashad's trying to do, but I'll tell you why he's not doing it effectively. He's asking questions, and these are really good questions. He asked a question about the jobs, how long you lived in Baltimore. The reason you're not getting a good response is you're asking closed-ended questions. Any question where someone can answer yes or no is an not really great question, right? So you're like, hey, it seems like you're excited about this job. Yep. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's closed-ended. All you take the same question, right? Because it's a perfect question, but you just make it open-ended. So, hey, tell me more about your job.
Why are you excited for the job?
Oh, well, that's less open-ended, but tell me more about the job, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like he didn't know where to go with it, so he just starts telling you everything.
Mm-hmm.
That could go down a path. He could talk for 15 minutes from there. Basically any question you ask, if they can talk for 15 minutes from there, you've asked it correctly. Oh, man, that job sounds really exciting. Tell me more about that. Tell me more about your job, right? So you see, that's super open-ended. You said it sounds like you're excited for the job, and he's like, yep.
Yeah.
Hey, how long you lived in Baltimore? 14 years. You see what I mean? When we ask these close-ended questions, they're fine questions, but they don't inspire the other person to do the talking.
Yeah.
You hear this all the time, very common saying that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Listen to people in proportion, right? We should be listening 2 times more than talking. The fastest way to make that change for people who like to talk like me is to ask open-ended questions and then shut up and listen and go along for the ride. And as they're talking, encourage them to continue talking more and more and more. The longer you can make this conversation go on, the better you've done. So if he was to say, hey, tell me more about that job, and the guy's like, oh man, I moved out to Florida and the job's this and you get to do that. And you say, and he stops a couple minutes into it. Man, that's interesting, man. How did you get that opportunity? How'd that come up, right? Just start, oh, wow, that's a pretty cool thing. I've never heard of that. How'd that happen? Oh, what made you decide to do this? These are called conversation extenders. Right? You constantly want to ask questions that will help people take their 3-minute run into a 10-minute run. Now, the old Mike Green 0.0 would like get halfway through the 3-minute run and try to get people back on track because I didn't want to hear about their job.
Yeah.
They're trying to tell me about it. And I just like, let's get to the point. I'm going to tell you how much I'm going to buy your house for because I'm busy. I don't have a lot of time. Mike Green 3.0 learns to like dig into the conversation. If I can get, the longer I get them talking about themselves, the less I'm talking, the more I'm discovering what they truly want so that I can serve them at the highest possible level. It took me getting out of my head, right? And me trying to analyze everything into me trying to get into their head. And the only way you're going to get in their head is that you have to ask questions and when they get in, you got to take them past the surface level answers. Open-ended questions get them started, but conversation extenders push them into the next level of building rapport. And honestly, like all you have to do is get them talking. They will instantly love you. And the fastest way to get someone to love you is just listen to them for an hour straight. They 100% when people leave, they're like, hey, do you mind telling me, what do you think about Rashad? They're like, oh man, he's a cool dude, man. The person my partner back in the day loved the most was this guy who he literally, like Jay just talked for an hour. And just talk. And the guy's every question, he was like a master. He's like, oh man, that's super cool, Jay. Oh man, that's awesome, man. You're killing it. Man, how'd that happen? Oh man, you next thing you're talking about scuba diving. You talk for an hour. Jay left and he's like, I like that dude. Like, we should see, man, we should hire him in the company. I'm like, we don't even know like what he wants for the house. Like, I'm just sitting there losing my mind because 0.0 Mike didn't understand it. The building rapport is awesome. Now to make sure I'm being clear about this, Jay didn't actually build the rapport. He actually got rapport built on him.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
The guy was doing a great job. We want to be on the other side. Like what the guy did with Jay is actually what we want to do is we want to make sure that we are listening, we are extending conversations, asking open-ended questions. The best way for people who are analytical like me and Samira is we have to train ourselves with some open-ended questions and practice them. Because if we go and try to think of them on the spot, we tend to ask more logical, like factual-based questions, like how long have you lived at the house and what made you decide to sell? And, those questions don't tend to inspire long conversations. They tend to be like more to the point, which is okay, by the way, when you're new. But like if you could just throw in a couple open-ended questions and just go along for the ride and then keep people extending. Like I want you to make it your mission when you guys start like marketing and getting leads to keep people on the phone. Like the game you should be playing with yourself is how long can you keep them on the phone? If you can turn in your initial phone call into an hour, I promise you, and I think your common sense tells you also that if you keep somebody on the phone for an hour, that you have a better chance of getting this deal. Would you agree? If you're like Dave, my old acquisitions guy, he was analytical like me, and he wasn't doing all that well with our leads because I went and looked at his average time on his phone calls. It was 8 minutes. Now, Dave's smart. He could get every factual thing he needed to know, he could get in 8 minutes because he had been doing this a while, and he's a pretty smart guy. But the point was, he didn't really know the people he was dealing with. He just had the factual reasons, like, oh, well, they said they want to move because they're tired of being a landlord. But then my question always be like, well, what made them tired to be a landlord, right? Why are they tired? Like, what is the emotional consequence of being a landlord, if they continue to be a landlord? I had all these questions that he could never answer because he wasn't digging deeper and deeper. And honestly, me, when I was new at this, I could never answer those questions either. I always had what I call the smoke screen reason for selling the house and not the deep emotional reason. Mm-hmm. What's pretty awesome about this deep emotional reason when we discover it is that most people don't even know it themselves. So what your job becomes, you almost become a little bit like a therapist. Your job is to help them discover their own deep emotional reason of why they're selling the home, because once they understand it, then you can use it to help service them in the highest possible way, right? You can use it to be like, hey, listen, I know that you really want to get down and spend time with your granddaughter, and you said she was graduating and this house has been stressing you out. And, you know, and obviously I know if you stay up here and you give all that up, you probably could get a little more money for your house. But what you did tell me, that going to see your granddaughter and being part of her graduation and not dealing with this house was like your number one priority. With that being said, does it make sense for you to sell the house a little bit cheaper so you can go do all those things? Or would you be willing to give all those up so you could get a few extra bucks for the house? See, when we talk about the emotions, then people will like make a really, okay, they're like, shit, I never really thought of it like that. Like a lot of times people think they can have both. They think that they can go be with the granddaughter and have the perfect life, but still not like, but not have to sell it for cheaper. They're like, well, I'd like to get, all the full price for it. I'd like you to pay me full price for it, and you do the renovation and make no money, because I don't want to deal with contractors and all that. And I'm like, that's awesome. I would want the same thing too. However, in reality, like whoever's taking on the risk of doing the work and the money and the investment and the energy and time actually is the one who gets paid the money. So either you do it or I do it, but whoever does it makes some money. So if you're going to sell to me, I have to make a small amount of profit. And you understand that, right? If you were me, you'd want to make a small amount of profit, wouldn't you? So these are the kind of things we talk about, because this is how we get people back on track. Once we build rapport with them, we're able to have these really straightforward conversations. But first, they got to people don't care about what we know. They don't care about what we know, honestly. They don't want to hear that we've done 1,000 houses. Most people don't even know that about me. I used to tell them because I thought it was pretty cool, right? And I don't even know how it values them. Now, half the time, it's all about they just care about, they don't care about what you know. They just want to know that you care, right? They just want to know you care. And when they realize that you care and that your objective here is not just getting a deal done, but it is like getting to know them and understanding how to serve them and you're committed to finding a win-win situation where you get to make some money and they get to get all the things they want. And if they can tell that you truly are committed to that, rapport has been built. But they got to believe it. And the only way they're going to believe it is if it's real, right? It's no faking it anymore. People have gotten too smart. So you're using all these old sales techniques that you'll get from these old school sales books. Yes, they work, but they're not going to work as well. What I call the Yoda way of selling is when you are doing this high level communicating and caring and giving. This is the very next level. This is so new that so few people even talk about this, but the highest level groups that I'm in, you'll hear just small portions of people talking about it. The Yodas, right? The people that are just like, they're not training, but the people under the Yoda can get you a lot of results. But when you get the Yoda level, these conversations become easy. Like you won't hear you listen to my voice recordings that you're wondering what I even did. But all it really matters is I got the result, right? Mm-hmm. I don't have to sound cool. Me and Pete used to, back in the day when we were new, we listened to Entourage, and we loved Ari Gold because he was like a fast talker, and we wanted to be like him as a salespeople, right? We wanted to talk quick and know all the right things to say, and that was pretty cool back then. But what's really changed in today's market is people have watched the Ari Golds, right? They've watched the movies, they've seen Tin Men and all this stuff, so they're becoming very aware of these techniques, and they don't want to feel like they've been taken advantage of or feel like they're not being heard. They want to work with people that care and that they consider to be friends, even if they just met you. So that's the thing, right? That's a huge one. I want to really expand on that because open-ended questions. So homework for Rashad is, and for everyone on the call right now, is to figure out on your call, once you discover what Rashad did really well, by the way, and I always want to make sure I talk about the things that we want to improve, but what you did well is he tried to dig into those things, right? That was the key. He recognized the job was the hot button, right? That's the reason for him moving. That's the hot button. He jumped right on it. But what I want you to do is create an open-ended way to jump on your hot buttons in the future, so that way he could have talked for probably 20 minutes about that job. He's pretty pumped and excited about it. Mm-hmm. Maybe the other guy talked about it and got him talking, and that's why he sold to him. I kind of doubt it, though. I met the other guy. I'm just messing around. I kind of doubt it, but I think it might have just been a timing issue. We'll see. Get through the call. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. See that? More jokes. Dude.
Yeah, it's just a job that I'm going.
Rashad's a funny guy, man. He's going to be a comedian if he doesn't make it in real estate.
Right now I'm a welder for the government, for the Coast Guard.
Okay.
Oh,
cool.
wow, man. Damn. How long you been welding? All your life?
Since I was 15 years old.
Pause. See, another question. How long you been doing it? Since I'm 15. What made you want to be a welder? That's a whole different question.
Mhm.
Damn, that might take an hour to figure that one out. That's a deep dive, right? All you gotta do is change one word or two. Oh man, welding, that's cool. What made you want to do that? You know what I'm saying? Like you always take what they say and you feed it back to them and then ask them, what made you want to do that? Like, oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
All right, let's do some more.
There we got it, man.
Oh, very good living.
So are you considered, because I don't know too much about welding, we don't do too much, you know, when we flip houses, we don't have too many contractors that have to come in and weld anything. but are you a master welder? Is that what they call them? Master welders?
I'm certified in every process, every steel. Like anything I can do.
Is welding hard? Like,
it's not that hard. You just have to have a steady hand and patience, and not scared to get burnt sometimes. It's like playing with fire.
Almost like when you say steady hand, almost like a barber.
Yes, almost like that.
Pause. So I love what he's doing right here. I want to just give you credit. Like you're digging, right? If you had open-ended questions, he would have told you a lot of this already, but you didn't give up. Like you still knew I got to dig deeper, right? And this is part of your makeup. Like you want to dig deep like this. You're actually like, I can tell that's not a tactic you're using. You're actually curious. Like, see, that's the thing that Rashad's asking these questions, but he's not doing it as a tactic. He's doing it because he's genuinely curious, right? But if you can learn to ask them just slightly different, you're going to get it's going to take all the pressure.
Yeah.
You see how hard you were working to keep the conversation going? It made you work a lot harder. And we want to make it easy on us, right? We want to ask questions where they do all the work and we just listen and we just guide them down the path and just like a sheep herder, right? They're just like herding sheep. Look at what a sheep herder does, right? I've seen them do it before. I'm like, I don't know how they get or I guess like cattle herder too. They get like 100 of them running and all they're doing is just like herding them. That's kind of like what our phone calls are like, right? We want to do like minimum work and get maximum results. So it's important to be able to do that. So great job on continuing to dig and not giving up because see, that's why you're getting good results, by the way. Also, when you said, hey, so that's like being a barber. What else is it like that would be more flattering to him? Steady hand.
It's like being a surgeon.
Dude, don't you want to be a surgeon over a barber?
Yeah.
Just for something to think about. Small detail, right? If you're like, dude, that's like being a surgeon. Like now you're flattering them.
Yeah.
Like he might take you out to dinner or something, like take you out to like Chicken Rico. You might be end up being a friend with him. Like my partner used to end up with more friends than deals sometimes.
Yeah.
He would end up like we're going to a cookout, but I don't think we're getting a deal. I was like, what? So we got to find the balance in it. But like first get your cookouts booked. And once your cookouts are booked, then you can go and you can start getting some deals because look, you got to eat first. Like why do we need to make money so we can eat?
Yeah.
In the summer, just get invited to cookouts and then you can get the deals later on. So that's the key though, is like you're doing a great job of that. It's a small tweak and I hope this is helpful, but homework for everyone is to write down a handful of ways. And I'd like you to post it to the 6-figure groups, handful of questions that you can ask that will keep the conversation going. Open-ended questions. Like I'll give you some examples. One would be, oh, that's pretty, like repeat anything they say that they're excited about. Like, dude, we're going down because like, I want to be a surfer, right? We're going to be like, oh, surfing. Wow. That's awesome, dude. Tell me more about that. Mm-hmm. Tell me more about that as a conversation extender. It is also an open-ended question, but oh, wow, surfing, man. What made you get into surfing? That's an open-ended question. So what made you get into it? Just you can even like for the analytical people, I would actually just go on Google and Google like open-ended questions. And you probably can find like top 20 open-ended questions and then just change them up to like fit what we likely will run into. And post them. Don't post all 20, but pick a couple you really like. Because I think that if we arm ourselves when we go into these conversations with just say 5 really powerful questions that we memorize, you're going to forget to use all 5 of them the first few times. Then for me, it took me a few months, but then I started using 1, then I started using 2. Now when you hear me in a conversation and I'm doing a really good job, I'm usually using all 5. When I'm doing a crappy job, I'm using 1 or 2. or using none at all, and I'm talking, because you know why? Sometimes people trick me and they ask me open-ended questions, and I like to talk and I like to give answers. So
Yeah,
I'm like,
exactly.
shit, they asked me an open-ended question. That is my kryptonite, by the way, when they ask me an open-ended question, because then I'll just be like, oh, let me tell you how it works. So the highest level is knowing that you're being asked, oh, that's a really interesting question. There must be a reason you asked. This is what my sales trainer taught me, my high level guy, and I'm telling you, it's good stuff. We really even want to start, we're going to start changing kind of our language around calling this sales to enrollment, right? We want to enroll people. We don't want to sell them on anything. We want to enroll them into working with us and enroll them into understanding that we would be the best solution for them to work with, because everyone on this call is an honorable person, right? And this business is filled with people that are not honorable. And so I want to enroll them into the belief that I'm going to do my best to deliver on everything I say, that I'm coming from a very honest and fair place. And as long as you actually are, this shouldn't be something it's hard to enroll people into. But we want to let them know that, right? That we care. We want to enroll them into the fact that we care. So we want to start even using the language from sales to more enrollment, right? We're enrolling people into the belief that it makes sense to work with us over the random dude who shows up, says he'll pay 10K more, but doesn't have the ability to settle the property. By the way, the guy we lost this deal to has zero ability to buy this property. So he's like, I'm going to do all these things. And I'm like, yeah, you're talking to the wrong guy. You're full of shit. None of the things he said he was going to do made any sense. Good.
No, I would butcher somebody's hair. And if you want bald spots or completely bald, I can do that.
Oh man, what's like your biggest welding project that you worked on?
I built half the boat. Like I'm a ship fit. Like I build stuff and weld stuff together.
Yeah. Oh shit.
And if there's anything you need, just let me know.
I mean, hey, now I got your information. I might need something. I don't know if I ever will, but if I do, I know who to call.
Oh yeah,
You know?
like 14 John.
Hold on. Uh-oh. Hold on.
Okay. Feedback. Stop touching the buttons. God, he's getting back to where he's at.
Is that what they call him? Asher Welder?
I would butcher somebody. I built half the boat.
I know who to call.
All right, that's where we're
Oh
at.
yeah, like 14 John boats and all that had leaks, cracks. I fixed them, I test them, everything. Make sure they float.
Yeah.
Like small jobs around the house, like railings, everything.
Wow. So you've seen ships being built from nothing.
The ground up.
Something.
Yep, from nothing to something.
How long does that usually take?
We've built a 225 carrier boat within a year.
What?
Yeah, like 2 football fields within a year.
Okay. All right. Now this is something.
Keep it
Okay.
going.
So explain to me this.
Okay.
A boat that big, and it takes that long to kind of put together. How do you know what you're working on? Does everybody get a set of blueprints specific to each section they're in? Like how?
Yeah. Everybody gets a certain blueprint. There's multiple shops. I'll handle all the structural side, start building all the frames, start slapping it together.
Hey, pause.
Because we build the big sections on the ground.
All right. Time to be honest. Who's bored? I already know. I seen Nikki fall asleep. I seen her. That's why I had to stop it before she nodded and fell asleep. And the reason you're all bored, though, is because you truly don't care, right? It just is. You really don't care about what this guy has to say. Which, by the way, don't be upset with yourself. Either do I. I've had to train myself to learn to care, right? I've had to train myself to listen and care, because look, if you're asking as a technique and you're just asking and then cutting it off short, then it's gonna break rapport versus building rapport. So a big part is you have to learn to care. It requires like a little bit of a change in who you are. Like analytical people, we're always in our head, right? We always think. We have to think about everything. It's all about our thoughts and our perception of everything. Versus People who are high S's, who I tell you are like, it's like women are high S's, care about people. Men that are high S's are caring and loving. And they tend to think more about others than themselves. My mom is a person who thinks about others more than herself. And, again, there's nobody who's good or bad, right? We just realize that if we are the type of person who analyzes and we think and we can strategize, there's so many great things we can do, right? But there's going to be our yin and the yang, right? There's always going to be a balance that there's some things we're great at, but for everything that we're great at, there's some things we're not great at. Like caring about what other people's doing and is not our strength. With that being said, you can learn, right? You can analytically rewire your brain to start caring more. And even if you just care a little bit more, you don't have to be like crazy and going at 10 hours, but care a little bit more, you'll build more rapport. You start caring a lot more and you're going to start seeing like everything change. You're going to start seeing people want to help you. People want to help you in the form of like saying, I really want Samira to win. Like I almost feel bad selling to anyone else because I like her so much. And she shared with me like her journey of getting the house flipping. And she was so like inquisitive about like, you could tell she cared. They'll start like finding reasons to hate my offer and Rashad's offer and everyone else's offer because they love you. But they're not going to do that if you use a logical technique and if you're bored. So if you find yourself being bored, don't be mad at yourself. That's just who you are. Be self-aware that's who you are and that you need to do a little bit of work in that area. And you have to start changing your thought process to caring more. And the best place to practice this is with our friends and family. When I went to Choice Center and I did my emotional intelligence training, it was the number one thing they asked me to do. It was like to repair my relationship with my brother and my father, and my mom and everyone really, just to start talking and caring more about other people and what they were doing. And not like my brain just is wired to think about me. Like, and it's okay, by the way, I'm not ashamed of it. I don't think it's a bad thing. We bring a lot to the world too, but we have to learn that we need balance. If we're going to truly, truly connect with people, we have to be able to connect. So yes, I would have been bored. I'm not though. I'm actually kind of getting into this whole boat thing and curious. But one thing Rashad's doing an amazing job of is he's got this guy talking about the thing he loves. Well, you win when somebody starts telling you about their business, their life, something, their passion, right? Everyone has a passion. And when you're able to, first of all, find out what that passion is and get them talking about that passion, right? Like, bam, dude, like good job, right? Like, I don't care about anything else. That is the number one rule right there. He's got the guy talking about his passion. It took a few tries because they were closed-ended questions, but did you keep trying until you got the guy talking? He's loosening up now. You're building. You clearly have rapport with this guy, and he's liking you. Now, let's keep going, and we'll figure out why he didn't decide to do business with you, or it will take a while.
And then we just crane him up so we start buttoning everything up and then just weld everything solid. It's like all pieces put together, like a puzzle.
Yeah. Wow. And is there like specific supervisors for each section that keep each up?
Yep, that make sure everything's going as planned. If you need anything, stuff like that.
That's awesome, man. Like, you got an awesome job.
It's a good paying one.
Oh, man. I think especially like trades like that, man. Like, I think we got to get more people involved back into those because
welding is a dying trade.
Yeah, man. Well, what's killing it?
People not wanting to do it. They don't want to get dirty.
Yeah.
Everybody wants that office job.
That office job is a facade. It's like a desert.
Oh, I know.
Like it's great, but I mean it's great when you first get it. Then you sit there, you go to that desk every day. It's not fun. It's not fun, man. Like
that's boring.
No shot at the office job.
Yeah, and
no. So good. All right, new technique. I want to teach you another technique. That's why I want to stop. Sorry to keep interrupting, but I want you guys to like get all the lessons out of this. He's now doing a technique, and I don't even think I taught you. You just naturally do. But I'm glad to teach it to you so you can do it purposely. He's building commonality, right? Office job people. He's like, oh man, nobody wants to get dirty. Oh man, you're right. No one wants to get dirty. Office job, that's no fun. But they're creating a common enemy and they're creating commonality that's something they agree upon. They're finding commonalities. A really quick way to build rapport with people is to find commonalities that you have. similar interests you have, similar beliefs that you have, similar opinions that you have.
Mhm.
This is called building commonality. When people see you to be like them, they want to do business with people like them. They trust and like people who are like themselves. Unless they're a negative, untrustworthy effer, but then it is what it is. You're not going to win with them. Let's just assume most people aren't that.
Yeah.
So great job of building that commonality. If you want to know how important it is for like the people who raised their hand and said they were bored to learn this, like Rashad got this job with me based on this skill. He didn't get this because like I was like, oh man, Rashad is just going to be like, dude, he knows all this stuff. He's the best student that's ever existed. Like, no, you're a good student, right? You've done the work, but at the end of the day, like when you came to the meetups, like you would ask me these questions and that made me like you more.
Oh yeah, I stayed up.
Yeah,
there.
you stayed after. He'd help us carry stuff out. Like he built a relationship by just genuinely being interested and finding commonalities. Next thing you know, we're talking about some things we have in common and we just liked them. And my number one rule to hiring people is I hire people I like because I don't care how good they are. If I dislike them, I don't really care about my results being 0.1% better and I got to work with someone that I freaking hate. I want to work with people I like. As long as I can make money with them and that they're somewhat competent to do the job, like I feel like we're going to work together a long time because we like each other, right? That's the secret to hiring people that are awesome. But he got this job. This door opened because of this skill. So like, I mean, he is born with these few things, but like he likes doing this, right? But with that being said, I promise you that I'll get in. I could do a better job than him with all these things, even though they're his natural thing he does. The reason I can is because I've taken years to learn how to become a chameleon and put myself in the same position and understand the techniques that you naturally do and use them even better. Now, but you take a guy like him and I start teaching him the techniques, he's going to get where it took me 3 years to get, he can get there in 6 months because it's natural for him. But that doesn't mean if you have none of these skills that you can't get there. It just means like, okay, you should be prepared to do a little more work. You might have to read a few more books than Rashad to get there, right? And that's all. We just have to work a little harder to get there a little bit faster. But with that being said, there's so many things that we're good at that like you would have to work really hard to get good at too, because we all have our different strengths. So really good job on building commonality with them. Now you're creating common enemy, the Office Space person, right? Go ahead, man.
It's not fun at all, man. Okay.
See, like me, I'm always around out in the field just cracking jokes, you know, having a good time while working.
Oh, really?
Hi.
Yeah,
So you're the guy that keeps everybody lively.
yes.
We might need to add you on the team, man. You could be one of our contractors, man. Just keep all our contractors going.
Hey, I wouldn't mind that either. I wouldn't mind that. I multitask all the time.
That's good, man. That's good. So with the house, I'm guessing you just got this new opportunity. Have you just started shopping around, or have you been shopping?
Me and my wife have been looking. Like we don't want to go to a real estate agent because we know they're. Well, I know a couple of them, and they all say they're scam artists. All of them are. But then with me moving within a certain time frame, you know, I don't have the time to actual wait. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's cool. Okay. All right. And
then I seen it on the commercial.
You saw us on the commercial?
Yeah, I figured I'd give it a try.
Oh, wow. I didn't know we had commercials.
Dude, first of all, stop. Don't tell him that we're not the person he thought he was supposed to talk to. Just be like, oh, commercials? Yeah, we're everywhere, man. We're the best buyer in town to work with. It's pretty known.
It threw me off.
I mean, it would throw me off, too, because I would be logical and be like, I'm pretty sure I didn't pay for commercials. But that's a really good opportunity to be like, oh, yeah, man, we're everywhere. You know, we're known to pay the most, right? That would have been a great opportunity to say that.
Yeah.
And then just, you know, create the belief that we were on a commercial, which we weren't, by the way. I'm pretty because I wouldn't pay for that. It doesn't work all that well. Okay, cool. What else? Keep going.
People find this like all different ways. Like we'll have signs out. You know, they'll find it.
Yeah, I've always seen the signs, but I never tried the signs. Because the way some of the signs look like they're just handwritten. All right, I'm just gonna post it here.
Yeah. Oh, that's real. We get a lot of different characters that call the signs.
I think this is going down to two. He's basically telling them where to find our competitors. They called him a character. Come on, man. All right, we'll move on. It's not that big a deal because you have rapport now. You can get away with it.
So just kind of give you an idea of the kind of people they call.
He doesn't
Fair
care.
enough.
Do you see, pause real quick. Do you see how when Rashad's starting to talk about our business and Rashad that like he's losing rapport a little bit because the guy don't really care about us or what's going on, right? Everything's about him.
Yeah.
And it's probably because you're feeling this like little bit of pressure to like fill the room and fill the conversation because he's been doing all the talking, right? But like you've just been doing a great job keeping him talking. But man, our instincts push us to want to like, okay, well, I gotta give something back now.
Yeah,
I gotta like he's been talking. I feel like it's one sided, but no. I mean, I've seen conversations with people where they literally gave nothing back, and they still felt like the other person, the recipient, thought it was an amazing conversation.
Yeah.
So you're gonna give something back, by the way. Give something meaningful, like, dude, I think we could help you out, or like it sounds like you're in the spot. Like maybe start what I like to give back at this point, and this is actually our next technique. Once we get to this point, we're building rapport. Is I like to feed back what I've heard from them. So if you get in a place where you feel like it's time for you to do some talking, this might be a perfect time to summarize. So, hey, about the house. So basically what I heard you say is like, you got a great job opportunity. You didn't hear great things about realtors, so you don't want to work with them. But you also are kind of on a quick timeline so that you can, get down to Florida and do all that. You have about 113, looking to get about 175 for the property. Is there anything I missed there? Whatever your name was, I forgot it already.
Right.
All right, is there anything I missed in that, right? Just like maybe summarizing it, because now that's called active listening. You're telling them and showing them that you heard.
Listening.
You heard the things he said, right? I'm hearing what you said, man, and feeding it back to him. Then he can tell you anything he thinks is important from there, right? And then that would give him an opportunity, but it also gives you a chance to talk, right? But you're talking with purpose, not talking just to talk.
Right.
So, because you were going down a little bit of a tunnel there.
Yeah, so your wife, is she a part of the decision making, or is this solely on you?
The house is only on me. But I always run stuff through my wife. Happy wife, happy life.
Pause it out. So just make the assumption that they always have to ask their wife. Like it's almost a crazy question. Like, so one question, here's the better version of that question. Hey, let me ask you, who else do you need to run this decision by? Like, who's going to help you in the decision-making process, right? That's a good question. It's a similar question to what you've asked, but it's asked in a way where you can be like, you might think it's the wife, but they might be like, oh, well, I own it with my brother. And, he has to, me and him are going to make the decision together, right? So, hey, let me ask you, sounds like you're ready to sell the property. You got to get moving. We're going to make you an offer. And when we make you that offer, who are you going to, who's going to help you make the decision on whether you want to accept it or not? And he's probably going to tell you his wife. Right. That's a way to backdoor in, let him tell you versus you telling him. Yeah. Because you don't have to be wrong then, right? If you asked him, then he's going to tell you you're never wrong. It's a very safe way of communicating because you can never say the wrong thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Lies, happy lies.
You're handling it all really well, by the way.
You've learned how long you guys been married?
2 years.
Hey, blessings to many more, brother.
Yeah, we've known each other since elementary school.
Wow. What took so long?
Different high schools.
Oh, man. Different high schools. Yeah, that'll do it. That'll definitely do it. Well, at least you guys got back together.
Yeah.
I'm not even, I would say I'm not that close to getting married.
Take your time.
Yeah, I see the horizon. I see the sun coming up over the horizon. I'm like, oh damn.
Take your time. Don't rush into it. Get all your toys first. I'm 28.
Man, I turn 28 next month. 28 next month, man.
Take your time. Buy all your toys first.
That is smart. I'm trying to buy some more houses.
And hopefully this one will be, because this one's in a nice neighborhood.
It is.
Nice and quiet.
Sounds like it. Sounds like it, man. So what we do is we usually flip houses. We flip and wholesale or wholesale, but our bread and butter is flipping houses. And, so about 50 or 60 a year. So what I'll do is I'll take that address and then I'll like do run some research and comps, see what everything's selling for, and I'll try to get you the best offer we can get you.
I appreciate that. Because I know the house next to us doesn't have as much land as I have, and they sold for $200. And the house around the corner sold for $225.
Okay. All right. Awesome, man.
So I know there's profit to be made.
Oh yeah, sounds pretty good. Like, and I'm gonna be completely honest. Like, I'm gonna tell you the best option to go with, even if that means like not going with us. Like, I'm gonna give you the best option. We can do multiple things. We can, of course, buy your property. When we buy our properties to flip, we buy them at a discount, so we can actually make only a small profit on a house, like 10 to 12K. But in order for us to even flip it and make a profit, we gotta buy it at a discounted rate. Now, if we can't buy it at a discounted rate, then we'll try to list properties for the money that people would like to get. We're still gonna be cheaper than your average agent or whatever. Well, like I said, when we get to that point, I'll let you know. But I'm gonna give you the best option that I can give you. And I mean, I'm not here to lowball you or anything like that, and to try to deter you from taking the best option that is going to be, the best thing for you and your wife. So I'll give you, I'm going to run those numbers and see what I can come up with, and I'll let you know where we can be at. And, if this work be coming out and taking a look at the property, man, I definitely love to do that.
I was about to ask you today if you want to come out and look at it.
You're not playing no games, but what's your timeline looking like? Are you trying to within the next day or two, or week, or month?
Well, right now I have my parents living there, and I gave them till December 5th. And so anything before the 15th of December.
Okay. All right. So that gives you a little bit of time.
Right. Because by the state law, I have to give them 30 days.
Yeah. Is there any major repairs that need to get done to the house, or?
To be honest with you, for updating is the kitchen and bathroom. Like, I already put all new appliances in it. Like, I have a stainless steel stove, stainless steel refrigerator, but it's just that countertop.
I almost forgot about all
and
that stuff.
cabinet.
Yeah.
That's standard.
20 minutes of conversation.
Around, renovating or anything like that.
But the attic was turned into a bedroom. It has all new wires, all new everything in there. There's all new wires around the whole basement, on the main floor. A brand new bathroom downstairs in
Let's
the
stop
basement.
it now. I got some other stuff before we get too far. I don't want to forget to give it back to the group. So basically what we need to work on is your end of conversation game, right? A lot of the words you use were very subconsciously negative. All right. You want to, everything you said was correct. Like you said, oh, dude, I don't want to lowball you. But the fact that you just said lowball and it came from your mouth attached it to you. You understand subconsciously, if you're like, hey, I don't want to lowball you. Hey, I'm not going to screw you over. What's the first thing you think of when someone says, I don't want to screw you over? You think of them screwing you over. You just planted the message in their head that you would do that. So we want to just change everything you're saying into positive. Like take the same thing and be like positive. Like, hey, dude, when you work with us, you can trust us. Right?
Mm-hmm.
What it's the only thing they can seem is trust you. If you're like, dude, when you work with us, you won't have to worry about getting screwed over. All they hear is screwed over. Right? Mm-hmm. So you got to you change the way you're saying it. Cause I'm hearing you know, a lot of things that were really not necessary because, and I think you were just like fluffing a little and you're trying to figure your way out, and you did a great job. Like your rapport building skills are super high level. You're building rapport at a very high level, but we need to get you on a script and get you on like a little bit of a, you got good, like you followed the thing the whole way through, and now we need to get you on a closing sequence. Because see, I knew, and I probably should have guessed this because it's the number one thing that people who have good rapport building skills, natural rapport building skills, the weakness that comes with it is that you don't like to close. Like you're like on the call and you're like, yeah, man, we'll see what we can do. Sometimes you don't end up working with us. Sometimes you do. You know, we wholesale, you know, we flip. I mean, dude, it's just all over the place, and it doesn't. You almost in everything you said bring no value to him, right? I mean, you could have just summarized that whole thing down to like, hey, man, like here's what's cool. It sounds like you got a really tricky move. You're a cool guy. I like you, man. We get along really well. It'd be fun to do business with you. And here's the thing with us: you can trust us. Right? You can trust us, and I'm going to give you the most money for your property. That's it. Shut up. I'm going to give you the most money because what are we trying to do on the call? We're trying to convince them that you are the only guy they should be talking to because, like, period, I'm going to get you the most money. I'm known for getting you the most money. That's all we ever tried to accomplish on the call. Anything above and beyond there, like setting expectations, there's no need to set expectations at this point. Of like, maybe it won't work, maybe it will, maybe I can give you a referral to an agent. You don't need to set those expectations because all that does is make them think of alternative things they need to deal with, and it makes them reach out beyond Rashad, right? Rashad has to be the guy that's fully convinces them that like 100% we're going to do business. Now, see, you're very sociable and you're a very good guy. So your problem is you're like, well, what if we can't? Right? In your head, it's holding you back a little. But just know that, like, if you tell them that, like, you don't have to promise them, like, I'm totally going to get you an offer. Just say things, random things like, hey, dude, we're known for getting the most money. We work with people just like you. And, man, we always work it out. Right? Like, can we always work it out? Like, yeah, dude, we probably can. He goes 111. It's a pretty good chance. Like, he's not saying anything that makes me, but even if I didn't believe I could, I'm going to tell him that, like, dude, I'm your best chance to make this happen. I'm known for paying the most money. We want to get that end closing sequence tight with you, and we'll work on it. We'll build it out because you're just like basically doing it off the cuff. And there could be a lot more power in there, right? We could just remove everything that you said so there's no option, get you on a couple questions or a couple statements you make. Like, this is your finish up. Like, listen, man, dude, I just want to tell you real quickly. It's like, hey, you're an awesome guy, right? Like, thanks for sharing all that stuff with me. You're really, I can tell we really get along. It's going to be a lot of fun working with you, right? So what does that do? I'm saying, dude, I'm going to love to work with you. I want to work with you. Like, you want to work with me kind of thing, right? And then when you get that going, then you close. And the close, what are we trying to close on the phone, Rashad? Like, what's your perception of what we're trying to close?
Oh, what do you mean?
What are we going to close on the phone?
Oh, as far as like the objective?
Yes. What are you trying to close on the phone?
Oh, not the deal, but just as much information as we can on the property to assess whether it's worth going.
There you go. So there's your mistake then. Not. Your thought is you're trying to close information to determine whether it's worth it for you or not, right? So maybe he's not as nice as we all thought. This selfish bastard just wants his information. No, but like we are that way. We have to be selfish to protect ourselves. So don't worry about that. I'm just joking around with you. I'm that guy totally too. I'm like, but here's the change I had to make, right? We have to think like your only objective on the phone is to close the appointment. Right? That's it. Close the appointment so you can get out in front of them. You can build rapport. And then what would be nice after we close the appointment would be to find out, make sure they have the ability to sell it to us. Pretty much figured that out right off the bat. He has the ability, got a good motivation, right? He's got a job. It's got time sensitivity to it. He offered for you to come out to the property today. So the only thing, like, you really talk about not closing, you anti-closed. You rejected the close. He's like, yeah, you want to buy my house? Like, I'll sell to you for this. And you're like, nope. Bought too many this week, bought 7 this week, can't buy anymore. But you get the point. You were thinking from a place of like, hey, let me make sure it makes sense for me. But really the key is just get on the appointment. The guy offered today, I would have just jumped right into like either came today or like, how's tomorrow work for you? Because see, you set the appointment there and then you ask questions after you set the appointment to verify when you actually want to go on the appointment. So I might be like, dude, how's tomorrow work? I might set the appointment right there. I will set the appointment right there. And then before I hang up, then you get in, hey, let me get a few more things for you to prepare for our appointment.
Mm-hmm.
And then as I dig in, I find out, oh crap, this thing ain't worth anything. I might even be like, hey, let me jump on MLS real quick and just take a quick look at some properties in the neighborhood, what they're selling for. And you see they're selling for 225. You owes 113. He's got a reason to move. What is the best way to close the deal? Is to get in front of him. Always going to have a better chance in front of him, right? What do you think happened with the guy? I'm going to probably guarantee you what happened with the guy who did the deal is he went out. When he made the offer to come out, he went out. And the guy sitting in front of him made him an offer that made some sense, and he took it. That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's how he won. I'm going to guess now, but I got a feeling my guess is accurate. Like, I don't think it's really anything you did wrong, minus you forgot your purpose, right? Your purpose is to close the appointment, and you had the opportunity to close it, and you actually kind of resisted it and, like, went over it and went into, like, let me see if it's worth it for me. You even said the words, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
You're let me see if it's like, you even said, let me get some more information, just see if it makes sense for me to come out. It always makes sense. If you're truly playing the friend card and that you're this cool, awesome guy, man, dude, you're a fun guy, dude. I'd like to come out just to meet you.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can work this house thing out. But I mean, we're known for paying the most money. You see how that's like a whole different way of going about it,
Yeah.
right? I mean, and sometimes you got to watch me because I might be telling you not to waste your time, right? So just tell me to shut the fuck up. It's cool because that's my weakness.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude, I'm getting in front of people. Like, you get in front of people and you work your magic like you worked that whole phone call.
Right.
That's how you close more deals. So if I hold you up from that, just tell me to shut up. Sometimes I will, because sometimes I get logical. My logical brain takes over and says, man, is this worth it? But that isn't the best version of me. That version of me doesn't close the most deals.
Yeah.
So let's hear the rest of it, see if there's, I just wanted to make sure I gave you guys that feedback because there's like so many great lessons.
Central air, the basement is waterproof.
Fast forward to the
There's
end.
no,
I want to hear how you
no
close
water
it up
coming in.
right there.
Look at you, the good side.
I wouldn't technically say that. Two brothers, one older have one older and it's in the Navy, and then one younger one. I'm the mean one though, believe it or not.
You get shit done, guy?
Yes.
I hear that.
But as long as you're honest with me, I'll be honest with you.
Hey, that's all I ask for, man, because you can imagine how many calls I get, and you got to weed through different things. people say one thing, then you get to the property, it's another thing.
No,
or,
no one cares.
People. You just gotta
It's
weed through a lot
negativity
of
too,
things.
right? You're talking shit
I'm
about
like
other
straight
people.
shooters.
So just move on from that.
Yeah.
That's like, dude, don't worry about it. Like, I am only going to give you the feedback
When
so
you
you
look,
can
if you look at the
start to
house
prepare
Friday,
it. That's all.
I will let you know there is a lot of stuff in there. But when it all leaves out, because we turned the room into like the basement into like a half a bedroom, but it can't be considered a bedroom. I think because it's not recessed windows.
Yeah.
But we did put a working bathroom down there, so that it'd be a good like living space to have like a chill room. That's my first thing. But there is walls and door.
All right, cool, man. So look, let me get to these numbers, man, and I'm gonna try to see what I can come up with. I'll try to give you a call back.
You can give me a call back or text me. This is my cell phone if you need it.
Okay. All right, and my name is Rashad, by the way.
Rashad?
Yep.
All right.
All right, cool. That's the
All
end.
right.
So
I'll make sure I give you a call, man. What's your name again?
you kind of like, so at the end, he asked you to come out. You somewhat blow him off by the number thing. We used to do this all the time. Me and Pete, we did it a lot where we'd be like, hey, man, we'll get to check the numbers and get back with you. But I don't think it's the best way to do business these days because the cost of leads is very expensive, right? It costs money for leads and they're not cheap. And we don't get a lot of phone calls right now. It's hard to generate an opportunity. So my belief today is versus back when the market was flooded with people who wanted to sell is the change you need to make is that like, if someone has the ability to sell to you and has any motivation at all, get in front of them, right? You're going on how many appointments a week would you say right now? Like 2 or 3?
Yeah.
Yeah. You should be going on 6 or 7. So just think of it like that, right? Just go on more appointments and you'll get your close ratio up. Because, like I don't have enough leads that you couldn't go on more appointments. That's the key. Go on a couple, get where you're going on like a few in one day and then maybe a day or two goes by. But, you're going on 5 to 6 a week would be a good amount of appointments. Because if you go on more appointments, you close more deals. It's that simple. Simple math, right? If you try to do everything over the phone, well, no one, I don't care who you put on this side of the phone, can do as good of a job as a person standing in front of them. They're going to trust the person in front of them more than the person on the phone.
Right.
So this deal sounds like getting it when he made that offer. If you'd have went that day, there's a decent chance you get this deal over that other guy.
I tried to go. I remember I was halfway there.
That day, the same day?
Yeah, this was all the same day.
Oh,
I called
got
him
it.
back. I called him back like 20 minutes later. It's like, yeah, let's go. And he was like, come on. And I was halfway there.
Okay.
I was downtown, and then he called me. It's like, yeah, I got an emergency with my son. Let's do Friday. Because he offered Friday as well on the phone.
Okay. And then Friday, he wasn't on Friday.
Well, he said you can come today or Friday. And I said, I'll give you a call back. And so when I called him back, I said, let's go today. Let's go today, 3 o'clock. And he's like, cool, let's go. So then halfway there, he calls me and says, I got an emergency with my son. Let's shoot for the original date on Friday again. And I said, that's perfectly fine.
There you go. So what did you do? Let's shoot for it.
Right.
We don't shoot for anything.
No, he said that.
What's that matter? Would you just leave your Friday open for him?
Well, that's the day that's the day he said he had available.
Understand.
On the phone, it was
got it, Friday. Awesome, dude. Yeah, man. What time on Friday is going to work for you? In the morning or the afternoon? You understand what we have to do?
Mm-hmm.
We got to close the appointment. Because what are you trying to close here? The appointment.
Right.
Hey, let me hit you up next week is never, that's basically saying like, it's not good. Right. You always have to, we have to do this with contractors, by the way. Contractors are really big on like, let me get back with you early in the week. Oh, cool, man. Awesome. You thinking Monday or Tuesday? And they're like, oh, Monday would be good. Okay. In the morning or the evening or like, and then why don't we just call it 2 o'clock? Is that good? I'll put you in my calendar. You see what I'm doing? I'm always closing for a very specific time.
Makes sense.
Because, and then what we want to do is like, hey, dude, man, listen, I'm really excited about buying your property. Now that this didn't work out, you get on and say, I'm really excited about buying your property. Listen, man, can you make me a promise that you'll wait for me? I'm definitely going to be able to pay you more money than anyone else. And I hate to see you sell to someone else for a lot less money because I know you're looking to get the most money, aren't you? Right? If you say that to someone, would you make me the promise that you won't sell it to anyone else until you let me see it? Do you know how much more often someone will sell you the property just because they said yes to that? Because they made you a promise.
Right.
Now, like you would think that, well, what the hell does that promise mean at all? It doesn't. But people will psychologically, if you get them to agree, more often follow the promise they made than not. So what promise do we want from them? If things get weird and they get like you were going there, so great job. You were in the car ready to roll. You were doing your job. You were knocking it out. But when the thing turned into Friday, you might have been like, hey, what time on Friday? Mm-hmm. And then it might have been like, listen, man, I'm sure you're talking to other people, right? And he's like, oh, yeah, I'm talking to other people. Awesome. Listen, I'm always known in the area as the guy in Parkville who pays the most. I'm always going to get you more money, man. I want to make sure that, like, you don't – I would hate to see you sell it to someone else and lose 10, 15K. Like, listen, can you make me a promise, like, for your own best interest that you'll wait on me and let me make you an offer? So that way you can just know that you're not leaving any money on the table.
Yeah.
You see how easy that is? Right? If he says yes to that, like, I'm not saying he wouldn't sell it to the other guy, none of this, but you're just making it harder. That's all we're doing, right? We're just making it harder on our competition. When none of this is a guarantee, none of this is like the magic wand that makes sure that 100% of the time you get every single deal. But does it make it harder on our competition? Yes, because our competition isn't doing any of that stuff. Our competition is basically having phone calls like you're having, which, by the way, probably aren't doing a very good job on the rapport building like you did. Mm-hmm. But like the key now is take that rapport building and add it with closing sequences, clarity, right? Clear, and then lock them in. Close what you came for, and that's the appointment.
Right.
So what you didn't do is you didn't close the appointment, really. You kind of closed it, but then when it fell apart, you didn't reclose it. I guess that's the best way to say it. You did a good job, but you really didn't close it because let me just say, I'm going to call you back in 20 minutes. You know how often I've called people back 20 minutes and I never get a hold of them again? Like, dude, it's pretty common. I mean, it's one of the biggest complaints when you run a lot of leads over the years that you'll hear is that, like, I get a hold of people and then I can't, like, ever get a hold of them again.
Right. So
we want to, like, our mission when we get on the phone, if there's anything in a deal, we don't leave that call unless we set an appointment. We said, just like, what does our call communication place do? Why do you think I told them to do that? They get on the phone, they take information, they set the appointment, right?
Right.
Our call communication, they went directly to you, but they set an appointment for a reason. I trained them and told them to do that because I want them setting an appointment because I know when someone sets an appointment, guess what? They're less likely to call a competitor and they're more likely to, like, wait for us to come see the property because all they were trying to do was set an appointment and get someone to solve their problem. And as soon as my guy gets on the phone, my answering service gets on the phone, sets an appointment with them, like, oh, Mike will come out and see you on Tuesday at 5. That's awesome. Well, they set the appointment, then guess what? Everyone's happy.
Right.
Now we're more likely that they won't go call 6 other phone numbers. So these are really important concepts. Man, great job. I mean, I think you've done a really good job on the phone call. I can see why you're getting good results. We make these few changes, though. You're going to, first of all, you're just going to have a little more control over it, more importantly.
Yeah.
And maybe you'll get better results, maybe you won't, but I think you'll just feel more comfortable around it more than anything, right? You'll feel more in control when you lose or you win. You'll know it's like, okay, I did what I could do, and I did my best, and this is nothing more than sometimes you don't win.
Yeah.
Because the guy, like, I think me and Rashad's biggest problem is the guy we lost this to. Like, yeah, he's shaking his head right now.
God.
We were like, that guy stole a deal from us? Like, no way. But I think it was just a timing thing. I think he just got out there. But, like, I still want to take accountability for what we do. I do believe that, obviously if you would have set the appointment and then reset and reclose the appointment, there'd be a pretty good chance that maybe he wouldn't have gotten it.
Yeah.
But we never know, right? That we're just figuring that out, man. Thank you for sharing. I think it was better than your last one. The only difference is the last one that he didn't do a very good job on, we did get the deal. So that's the only difference. But, like, hey, that doesn't matter. Sometimes we get the deal even when we don't do a good job. Sometimes we do a really good job and we don't get the deal.